to see character conflict in Lovecraft. Like
It's hard for everyone.
he's known for his strong female characters and intense emotional drama. It's just, he's so not interested in humanity on that level. It's probably pretty hard, so unless somebody has pre-digested it and figured out a way to put it in a wrapper where, like, oh, okay, I see characters, I see actors for actors doing this. I mean, Lovecraft seems really attracted to an animator, getting to do this sort of thing, not this
What
sort
about a
of
male and a female rock attacked by an octopus? And then they are swallowed into the sea.
animator's dream.
I think that answers your question.
And there you have the conflict, the rocks are going,
The HBO sound. And then,
I think with the Masters of Horror series that was on Showtime, it was successful, but yet the two Lovecraftian stories that did on that, like when John Carpenter did Dreams in the Witch House, excuse me, it's still, fans were divided, and I'm from working in a
actually
video
thought that was
store.
pretty good.
I enjoyed it, but from working in a video store and kind of recommending it, you have people
The animation
returning it and going, what the fuck was this that you gave me? what the fuck is this? You know, and then they pick up Scream 4.
Or screaming,
That makes much more sense.
More digestible.
It's rational.
Yes.
We may very well see some decent Lovecraft films coming on from television, but it won't be American television. You remember that the best thing on Lovecraftian TV so far came from Canada, Out of Mind, which we're showing tonight. That actually shows some real understanding of Lovecraft's themes and of the person himself. And over in the UK, they have a tradition of doing adaptations of literary short stories in our genre that actually show some respect for the material, like their M.R. James adaptations that they do at Christmas time. It would not surprise me to see the BBC doing the festival for A Christmas Ghost Story.
I think that anything with an accent is better. So it always sounds more authentic somehow. And maybe it's a level removed, I don't know, but you have some redneck talking about something horrible in the South and you kind of believe it. Whereas if you have some guy from New York talking about something horrible in the South, you're kind of like, who is this guy? And I'm leaving. So, yes.
In some ways, some of the poorer Lovecraft stories might actually make better films because they don't have that kind of linguistic difficulty that you encounter when you do some of the top flight Lovecraft stories. I've always thought that Horror and Red Hook could actually be a very good film because of the New York atmosphere, the seedy, river, the whole setting, and the fairly conventional monsters that he utilized in that story. Somebody with a certain amount of with a budget could actually do a pretty good Horror and Red Hook film.
has anybody met The Terrible Old Man? I have a feeling.
There are a couple of shorts of The Terrible Old Man.
That some of his short stories that actually have something had to happen in them, quickly, with characters, it seemed like those are kind of natural.
I think that ideas of Lovecraft was difficult, to illustrate because I think he was reaching for something that's very esoteric, but you're bound by what we know. And so you wind up having squishy tentacle things. And he thinks that's all he's about, squishy tentacle things. But I'm not sure that's a huge component of it, is that? And
They're
so,
symbols. He used them as symbols.
well, he doesn't use them so much as other people use them as symbols.
Well, the trouble is, if you put them on film literally, they don't become symbols.
But I like
They
octopus.
become gliding tentacles done not very well on film.
I like octopus.
You like octopi?
Yeah, I think
Octopi it is.
I like them.
Plural.
I don't. No, but what I'm saying is I like them and I like squids.
They don't like you.
bother me. But I don't. And so the thing is that doesn't disturb me. But whereas it may disturb someone else, I understand. And I think that it's become kind of a shorthand for this is Lovecraftian.
Yeah.
And which is unfortunate because it's kind of turning that into a satiric almost thing, which I think is negative actually, and makes it less serious than it could be. Yes.
I was always fond of a couple adaptations of Night Gallery. Of course, a very uneven series, but Cool Air and
his last lecture was, and I actually I waited for the reviewer to come on with my cassette recorder so that I could tape it and transcribe it, just so I could, like, before video, that was what he did. You know, he wanted to have some piece of the screenplay.
That was Rick, that was Jack Laird. And Carl Reiner.
With Mr.
But,
And Lovecraft in the classroom.
it's kind of interesting. I think that Pickman's model was up and down. I think Coolair was pretty good. My personal favorite adaptation of Pickman's model is actually Bernie Wright's an illustration of it. If you've ever seen that comic adaptation that he did, that was really creepy, you know, and good. The story, of course, I like a lot. But again, it's more of a horror tale, like he's insinuating in this. I guess mythos is what I'm saying, has become tentacleized, you know, which is unfortunate. I don't know, how do you feel about that, the tentacleization?
Well, you know, it's a puerile way to adapt something that's really complicated, you know. And
Right.
if you want to make it, you know, Lovecraftian equals tentacles for you, well, that's a pretty shallow, you know, understanding of Lovecraft, just like, you know, thinking of Shakespeare as guys in tights. Well, yeah, but that's a pretty lame understanding of Shakespeare, you know, as far as you're going to take it. So, you know, I mean, I don't think there's any way around pop culture trying to forge shorthand for it. And if unpronounceable tentacly things is going to be the shorthand for it, you know, I'm not sure there's anything any of us can do about that apart from try and
Do you think it's good to become popularized, though? Do you think it's good to become, that it's become more popular in that manner, I guess?
You know, I think it's always a double-edged sword. You know, it's you know, we're glad to the more people are into Lovecraft or know the word or have heard the word Cthulhu, the more people are going to see Whisper in the Darkness. We see that, you know, as a good thing, and it's something we love, and being able to share it with a wider audience is great. I think the fact that some people don't get it or oversimplify it, you know, again, you can't really fix that. All you're trying to do is, you know,
Inform them.
yeah, and dish up, you know, read good quality S.T. Joshi edited Lovecraft books, or, you know, play the game, or see the illustrations, or, you know, read quality stuff.
See other films that are.
See other films, and if, you know, some more fans who actually get it, well, that's great, but I don't, you know that there's too much of a downside to sort of the secret handshake club of, you know, that it used to be 20 years ago, going away.
You can't force feed Lovecraft.
You sure can, yeah, no, my wife still is. Yeah, she's sort of, you know.
Not a fan.
Yeah, she's not a fan, you know, she can appreciate why it's important, but seek it out.
You think Poe has this kind of, or went through this kind of, before he became a rebel?
Similar thing I was thinking is not, I mean, people know who Poe is.
Right.
But how many people read Poe? How many people read Dracula?
Well, you're kind of forced to read.
How many
Well, in
people
school,
read
you read some Poe. I mean, I don't know that you read Lovecraft in school yet. I mean, that day may be coming, but I don't recall reading it.
Not yet, I don't think.
I mean, I've read Brad.
Because it was assigned to you?
Yeah, that's what I mean. No, because of your son.
Yeah.
You know, I was never assigned Poe. I remember, you know, I'm 41, I don't remember. I mean, I was assigned Poe, but I was not assigned Lovecraft. I read Lovecraft on my own at that age. But I do remember reading Bradbury. You know, I was assigned that. I mean, he is kind of a disciple of Lovecraft in an indirect sense. So, I don't know, what do you think? I think we'll get to that point eventually because he's becoming recognized as a man of letters in the American canon. But what was your reading by him in school, really? I mean, essays maybe, but stories, I don't know. They're kind of mature themes a lot of, you know, for a kid. Maybe Kool-Aid or something like that.
Yeah, it'll be Brad's call.
Call it Cthulhu.
That's true. I guess.
You know, I mean, it's high school
That's not
reading, but, you know,
But it's structurally an interesting story.
absolutely, it's demanding in a bunch of ways. It's you know, it's an interesting piece of literature.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Well, Lovecraft did get into a high school textbook as early as 1956
Did you
with
really?
the Music of Eric song. Was that high school? No, I'm not sure. It might have been a college textbook, but he was in a textbook in 1956 with Music of Eric song. Because that is a very subtle, complicated, multi-layered story. You know, many levels of interpretation. So that would work in that context.
Hasn't been reprinted very much.
Not-
right? Very many.
Well, that particular textbook, I'm sure, is long out of print now, and I don't actually recall many others that are in current textbooks. But
I think he's a prime candidate for that. I mean, I'm thinking that his level of craftsmanship, et cetera, is very good.
Oh, I'm sure
Very
he will.
interesting to study.
Yeah.
He
Well,
will.
Well, now that he's in the Library of America, you know.
We get emails from teachers who are teaching at the high school level. I mean, not again, it's
Teaching-
they're the exception, not the
They're
standard.
teaching Lovecraft?
Yeah.
Oh, well. then he
Or they
don't-
like it.
No, I mean, we hear from people who go, oh, I teach this, or we call it, in my class, can we show your movie? You know, we hear from, you know, it's not a jaw dropper.
Then they'll do film KJ.
I was still curious to know what you guys thought were the worst Lovecraft adaptations.
Probably so many.
Yeah.
Probably so many, I don't know. I think, probably some smaller film, you know, an amateur film.
Elwood.
Oh, yes,
Years.
that's in a class by itself.
Yeah, you know, but I would say this, though, you know, making a movie is hard.
Not very.
It's really hard, and some people, you know, are just not up to the job yet, but I still applaud them for doing it, because it's hard. You know,
I think
like
there's
I
a
said,
subjective
some are more
criteria.
successful than others, absolutely, but, you know, I'm not into bagging on other people's work.
I think there's an objective criteria and a subjective criteria. For example, is sound editing and visuals bad versus was the adaptation bad but everything else was good?
Yeah, but you're talking about